Okay, so today we're going to be drawing the blind flange. So just a quick look at the drawing. It's essentially a disc that has 12 equally spaced holes around it. Okay, the holes do start at the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions. So it's essentially identical to a standard analog clock. And those holes are 1/2 inch in diameter. The plate itself is 6 1/4 inches in diameter. The holes are on a 5 5/8 diameter guide circle, and the plate itself is 1/2 inch thick. So to draw this, we're going to create two views because this is a cylindrical object. So essentially the top view and the right side view are going to be identical, so there's no sense in drawing three views for it. So what I want to do is start off with like a hypothetical of if you're done a drawing and you're ready to move on to the next one, how would you do that? So we're going to jump into the U-block drawing. We're going to use that basically as our template with all our line types and things like that. So here's our U-block drawing. So we're just going to click Save As. And we'll just save this here. We're going to call it Blind Flange. And we'll click Save. Alright, so now you can see our drawing title has been updated. Some of our colors are a little different for our line types, but that's okay. Pardon me. Alright, so we'll switch to object for our line type. Now, again, our diameter is 6 1/4, so we're going to start off with a circle that is 6 1/4. So in order to draw that, we can either type 3.125 or you can hit D for diameter and type 6.25. And there's our circle. Now, in order to do this, it's relatively quick and easy. We're going to do our centerline circle as well. So we'll do circle. And we're going to do D for diameter. Now this is 5 5/8, so in decimals that's 5.625. There we go. And there's a few different ways you can do the center lines on this. Go back over here and we're going to draw our first circle. I always like to start on the left. That's just me. And again, diameter of 0.25 or diameter of 0.5, radius of 0.25. There we go. And then we've got a few options here. We can do individual center lines for each, and basically what that would look like is we would come in here, we would offset this about 1/8 inch. And then we would switch over to our center line, draw a center line across so that we've got a radial center line. Then we would just use the trim tool and remove the rest of that circle. So we had a nice little arc here. We can get rid of our guide circle, and we can adjust our line type scale. Bring that up into the screen. And we'll lower that. Let's try 0.25. This is pretty small. Okay. We've got that. And then we can array this. So what we'll do is we'll go up to Array. We'll hit the drop down. We want a polar array. So select objects. Select our circle plus our center lines. We'll hit enter, and then we want to find the center of our big circle. We want to make sure it's not associative. And we want to have 12 total items. We can click close array. Now, we could have that. The only issue that I have with that is that the center lines kind of hang over the edge a little. It just doesn't look neat. It doesn't show that the circles are on one continuous circle, or the holes are on one continuous circle. So a better way to do it is actually just how our original drawing is set up, where there's one big centerline circle there. And so that's what we're going to work with. So we'll just back up a little bit more. Okay. And then we will just delete our little outside circle here. So the only thing we need to array is the circles. So we can just click that, and we'll click in the middle, and we again need to adjust to make sure it's 12, and make sure it's not associative, and then click close. And now we can just kind of continue with our center lines here, top to bottom, left to right. And that view is essentially done. Next, we want to put a little space between our views, and we're going to do our right side view. Or again, you could do a top view. It doesn't really matter. Best way that I've found to do this is use the zero layer to sort of set up some guidelines first. So we're going to go right at the very top of our circle. Just kind of go across there and go right at the very bottom. There's other tools you can use to do this, but this is just a good way to start. Object, and we'll just draw a vertical line to the right here. Again, the spacing between the two at this point doesn't really matter. We can set it up later. So we're just going to hit trim, and we'll just lop off these circle edges here. And we're going to offset that 1/2 inch. The reason why we're doing that is, again, our plate thickness is 1/2 inch. So offset 1/2 inch. We'll just offset this line to the right. We'll just draw a top and a bottom to this while we've got it available. And then we can get rid of those two guidelines we drew. Now, when we're representing holes inside of an object where they're completely embedded, but they're sideways, we're taking a round thing, just like we've done with our whole plate. It's going to be represented as a rectangle. But this time it's going to be made out of hidden lines. And there's going to be a lot of things here. So from our right side perspective, these two holes will line up with each other. So we don't really need to represent one. Same thing with this pair, and this pair, and so on and so forth. So what I want to do is we're going to start off with just one completed hole. And that's going to consist of two center lines, two hidden lines, one for the bottom edge of the hole, one for the top edge of the hole, and then a center line through the middle. So to do that, we're going to switch to hidden, and then we're going to just zoom in here so it's a little bit easier to work. I like to just kind of find the bottom quadrant of the circle and just bring that over. Do the same thing here. Okay. And we'll do our center line. We'll just grab that from here. We'll come in with our trim tool. Just remove those line segments, and then any extra lines that we kind of left hanging out over here, we'll remove them. Now the center line on this hole needs to be stretched out 1/8 inch in each direction, or 0.1 works as well. Again, it's as long as it's even and it's consistent. It really depends on the scale of the drawing. Now, we got to do two things here. We need to increase our line types or decrease our line type scale on our center line so that it gets a dash. So let's do that. So we'll select it. We'll hit Properties. And we're going to lower that number. Try 0.5. Not quite enough. Try 0.25. And that works for us. And I really want to do that same thing on our hidden lines as well, but not so extreme. So we'll let's do Properties. Let's set that. Let's try like 0.5. I like that. That looks good. Now what we can do is we can use some guidelines to sort of position these holes. So I'm going to be copying these three lines as one from this point right here where the center line intersects the left side of our side view. But we need to know where am I going to paste this to. So let's use our zero layer, again, just kind of as layout. We'll just go from the center of each hole to the left edge of our view. Again, going directly to the right, letting that green dotted guide angle help us. And we'll do that from there. Again, just repeating this process. So essentially, you know what, for now I'm just going to do this one too. So you can see I've projected each and every one of these holes over. And what's going to wind up happening is some of these are going to overlap. So when I go to copy this, I'll click copy. We're going to select it right here, again, where the center line is intersecting the left edge, and we just make sure we've got all three. And everywhere one of these white lines touches, we're going to paste it. You can see it gets a little bit messy up here, but that's all right. We just kind of remove the white lines. And there it is. Our blind flange is complete.